Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of vBrownBag. Tonight, we are going to be having a continuation of our Python for DevOps series, talking with Python developers and learning how to level up our skill set. Tonight, I'm very happy to be presenting Kunal Batra. I've had the pleasure of emceeing a couple of his other events. He did a Deep Racer talk for the AWS Portsmouth user group, which I helped run the other night, and he knocked it out of the park. So he graciously said, hey, I'd like to come onto vBrownBag and do some Python talking too. But before we get into all of that, a couple of housekeeping notes. Get in on the conversation. If you at vBrownBag or hashtag vBrownBag, I will be paying attention on the Twitters and curating the questions to pitch at Kunal. And also, if you are in the live audience, I will be doing the Q&A for Kunal from there as well. So good evening, Kunal. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you.
Very, very cool. Let me go ahead and pass over the power sheet. Actually, before we do that, let me show everybody something. I talked about this a little bit on Twitter, but I was talking to the wonderful Nina Zakharenko, get that worked out properly, and this was a website that she is running, and this is for the intro and intermediate Python users that are in the audience. And so she said, well, hey, you should totally mention this to your viewers. So for everybody that's watching, here is learnpython.dev. It's a great 101 and 201 and a little bit of 301. She goes into a lot of good stuff in there. So now, without further ado, let me kick it over to you, Kunal. Make presenter. All right, sir, you have the power.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so first, only 4 slides here, and then we're gonna get out of PowerPoint and kind of go into some live code. So let's begin. My name is Kunal Batra, and this talk is gonna be building applications that can see. I actually had the idea for this application from that AWS Portsmouth group. After that Deep Racer session, there was a bunch of people from an insurance company, and they were asking questions about using recognition and how they can, add sight into their applications. So I thought it would be pretty cool. So thanks for that, Chris. And before we get started, a little bit about me. You can see on the right over there a little photo of me. On the bottom is my Twitter handle, just in case you have any questions at any time. I am a senior technical evangelist at AWS. And apparently, I love working for developer-focused companies. This was not planned. The last 4 out of 5 companies I've been at have just been one after the other developer tools companies. Not complaining, love it. It just so happened to be the case. And I'm also really, really, really into machine learning and computer vision. It's just a passion. I think it's in a really cool place right now, and the ability it gives developers to really make an impact and move the needle on so many things. It's really cool. And just before I dive into this talk, I want to share a YouTube video. So this video got me on the path of computer vision and machine learning. I was in an intro to machine learning class way back in the day in college, and our professor just played this video. It's by a guy named, it's talking about showcasing a guy named Jeff Hawkins, and he was the founder of Palm Computers. And this is, I think, what, 11 years old now? But it's a really great view onto machine learning and like really intro and talking about the basics of it. I don't think I've ever seen anyone explain it better than Jeff Hawkins. So if you have a chance, go on YouTube, search for Jeff Hawkins, artificial intelligence. I think it'll blow your mind like it blew my mind. Yeah, let me just get back into my presentation here. So the agenda today, I want to talk a little bit about this service that we have at AWS called Rekognition, which is kind of computer vision, and it makes it really easy to add it into your applications. And then after that, I'm going to talk about or showcase how to build an application that takes advantage of a serverless framework we have called Chalice, which I love, and how it's going to be used to organize S3 images. Whoops. And then we'll have 2 walkthroughs. I think it'll be kind of fun. One is going to be a facial comparison walkthrough. We're just kind of showcasing how we can compare 2 faces. I will be using Chris's face for both of these just to show how it works.
No.
I scoured on Google Images and your LinkedIn, so let's see how that goes.
Unprecedented.
And then the last thing that we're going to do is just show a live feed from my camera and have it draw a bounding box on my face and give you a little bit more statistics and showcase what recognition is showing you. So I think that would be a good way to close it off.
Very cool.
All right. So before we get into recognition, I just want to kind of quickly talk about how at AWS we see machine learning. And this is just a really high level view. So we kind of see it in these 3 layers. The bottom level layer that you see over there is all the frameworks and infrastructures that machine learning developers and data scientists really use, not in AWS, just everywhere. And we provide that as well at AWS. Then that middle layer is a tool, a service called SageMaker. Not sure if anyone here has heard of it. It's a great way to get started with building custom machine learning models. It makes your life a lot easier for all developers, not just the data scientists and machine learning developers. And then what we're going to talk about here today is those already baked APIs that take advantage of machine learning algorithms that have already been created by our data scientists and machine learning developers. And you can see that's broken down into a couple of things. It's vision, chatbots, speech, and languages. And these are APIs that you can quickly add into your Python application and give it that power, right? So today we're going to talk about vision and showcase how you can add sight into your applications. You can also add speech and do natural language processing and make chatbots. Some really cool and fun things to take advantage of with those services. That's it, guys. That's the PowerPoint. So now let's get into the fun stuff. That's it. Show's over. No, I'm kidding.
And we're done. Yeah, that's a wrap.
It's a wrap. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is recognition. And to do that, I'm going to just go ahead. I've already logged. This is the screen that you get right after you log into your AWS account. And this is the management console that shows you all the services that are available to you as an AWS user. I'm going to pick recognition because that's what we're going to cover here today. And I have it already as a recently visited service, but you might not. So we break down our services by categories, and you can kind of see that in bold over here: compute, EC2. If you go down over here, you can see machine learning, and you can see these are all the different machine learning services we have, and recognition is right here. So I'm going to go click on that. And that takes us to the recognition homepage. And this is just a great way to see all the little components and services that recognition gives you as a developer to add in your application. So you can right away, and feel free to ask questions, Chris, if you see them popping up on Twitter.
Oh, absolutely.
So on the left-hand side over here, you can see that we have this section called demos. And these are kind of the function calls also that you can make using the Python Boto 3 SDK. And I believe Randall spoke about that, maybe not the last time, but the time before that. If you haven't watched it, definitely recommend watching. It's a great view on how to take advantage of Python's SDK for AWS. But these are the recognition function calls. So you can see with recognition that, let me click on the first one over here. The first section over here is kind of label detection. Basically, you give recognition an image, and it'll tell you on the right side over here all the different labels that it's seeing in this image. I'm just moving my screen around so I can see it as well. So these are all the results that it sees in the photo. It sees transportation, vehicle, car, and on the right side of that, you see all the confidence levels. How confident is the recognition software in that it sees this particular label? So transportation, 98.8% positive. That means it's definitely, it's probably there. Human, 98.3% positive. So this is literally adding sight into your applications. Now, at this point, one of the questions I always get is, so what are the use cases? It's cool, I like it. What are the use cases for this, right? And there are 2 major use cases that come with label detection. First is organization. You can organize your photos. You can use that for searching. So you have a whole store of photos. You can visually search, show me all photos with a car, show me all photos with a car and a person. So organization is a big one. The other one is moderation. And then you can see the next section here we have in the demos, image moderation. And a lot of times as a developer, you're going to have situations where you're going to need to classify user-generated content and make sure, is that safe to show, not safe to show, and that's a really big use case. So organization, moderation are two pretty big use cases. And we're all familiar with hot dog, not hot dog, right? So you can definitely say, is there a hot dog in this photo or not? So
what about a hamburger? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
The third cool one over here is facial analysis. So this will take a photo, it'll showcase where all the faces are, and then it'll start giving you statistics on the faces. Is the person smiling, not smiling? And that's pretty cool. The coworker of mine built an app with this, so when he's speaking, he can see whether the audience is liking this particular part or not, based on are they smiling or not smiling, or are they paying attention. It's pretty interesting.
Really?
So yeah, it's honestly pretty interesting. So yeah, definitely something to take play around with, and I'm going to showcase this in a bit. The last thing we're going to do is showcase this. The other one is celebrity recognition. I think this is a toy use case. It's really cool. It's fun, but I haven't seen too many developers saying, "Hey, I need to use that immediately." But it's fun to play around with. Face comparison. This is pretty cool for just checking if someone is who they say they are. So one of the use cases I did was whenever my wife comes into the apartment, it'll know it's my wife and then turn on the lights or off the lights if it is. Text and image, fairly straightforward. OCRing the image. It's actually a pretty big use case. People tend to want both, knowing what an image is and also seeing if there is text, and be able to search by not only what's in the image, but also text in the image as well. Pretty big use case. So those are the big use cases here. And the first application that I want to build out while we're on this session here is take an S3 bucket and make it so that anytime an image is uploaded on the S3 bucket, we know what it is. And then I'll leave it as an exercise for you guys to you can either add meta tags to that object, and so you can search on it, or you can just move it to a different folder, or what we call a folder inside S3. And then at least you'll be able to organize your images. And it'll also be taking advantage of a serverless framework called Chalice. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing we're gonna do, let me go to my terminal over here. Can you guys see my terminal? Chris, is that too small? Should I make it a little bigger?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and build this application. Actually, you know what? Before I do it, let me create the bucket. So I'm going to go into my S3 section, which I pinned on the top over here because that's very convenient. You can see I have 17 buckets, so not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and create a bucket just for this.
Hey, I see a VTalk bucket. Nice.
Let me go create a bucket for this. We're going to call it Kunal vBrownBag. I'm just going to copy that and save it. We're going to say next, all the default settings for the bucket, create bucket. So where is this? There it is, Kunal vBrownBag. So now I have my bucket over here. And the idea again is drag and drop an image and then automatically be able to tell what's coming into that bucket using recognition. And so to do that, we're going to be taking advantage of a serverless framework called Chalice. Chalice is, you can go to, if you want to access that, you can go to github.com/AWS/Chalice to learn more. And I don't know if everyone here is familiar with Flask, but it's got a very Flask-like feel to it. It's called a micro framework because it's really small and easy to use, and within seconds lets you build out those Lambda functions and get that set up. So we'll walk through it. I'll showcase one example as well. If you also want to find out some more frameworks, prior to Chalice, I used to use a framework called Zappa. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with it. It's this one. I actually really liked it too. So I think this is also a pretty cool framework to take advantage if you want to quickly build Python functions and not worry about anything else and just have that running. So Zappa, Chalice. There's also SAM CLI. And this is kind of the new hotness right now, I would say. It's a little bit more, it takes a little bit more to use, but it's a lot more robust. It takes advantage of CloudFormation scripts. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at this now. I personally am still a fan of Chalice just because it's so quick and easy to get started and use. that I'm going to go ahead and use that for this. So we're going to go ahead and then kind of start building out our application. So I'm going to go into my terminal. And the first thing I'm going to do is launch this application called tmux. And I love tmux. It's called a multiplexer, I believe, but essentially all it does is allows us to have multiple panes in our terminal over here. So, and it also provides this really sweet status bar on the bottom that I just love when I'm coding. And also you guys can constantly see my Twitter handle on the bottom here at Kunal732, and you can email me at kbatra@amazon.com if you have any questions. So let's get started. I'm in my directory here, AWS, so let's make a new directory for this application, and let's call this Kunal vBrownBag. Okay, so now we're in the directory, and the first thing we're going to do, as most Python developers should, is create a virtual environment. We're going to do this so we have a clean environment, and any dependencies that we do install are not going to be mixed up with any global dependencies we have in our system. So I'm going to go ahead and create this environment, and then we're going to go ahead and, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, a quick question.
Yeah.
In the episode that we had where Calvin was on, he used something called pipenv to do this, to create the virtual environment, but you're using virtual env. Is there a difference? Is this a Mac specific thing, or?
It might be a Mac specific thing. I think there are multiple versions of it. I think there's also pipenv as well. Is that the one you might have used?
No, it was definitely pipenv, pipenv.
It was pipenv. I'm not familiar with pipenv. Let me just double check something. This one over here, pipenv?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't used this one.
But the same concept?
The same concept, exactly. It's installing a virtual environment. And I think also based on what Python you might have, it might be a different name or setup for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But exactly same concept. So let's go ahead and activate our virtual environment. Okay, so we activate it. You can see that it's now in the virtual environment. And we're going to do two things now. We're going to install our Python SDK, Photo3. And so we got that set up, and then we're going to go ahead and install chalice. Install chalice, which is our framework. And so it's setting this up. I didn't mention one thing that everyone here should also have set up, which is the AWS CLI. I think Randall also covered this as well, but if you are not familiar with it, this is necessary for chalice, and it just makes your life so much easier. So I would definitely, it's pip install AWS CLI. I already have that installed. Please set that up if you don't. So those are the three things that you need, and now we're ready to go. I personally love using Vim. I don't know how many what editors people here use. So many.
There are so many. We've deliberately steered away from the editor wars. So use whatever you want to.
Smart. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just create the chalice project. So let's go ahead and say chalice, new project, and then call this live demo. Okay, so now it went ahead and created a project for us. It creates this directory called live demo where our application lives. We can go in there and we can see that there's two files it automatically creates for us. One is our bare bones application called app.py, and then the other is requirements.txt. If we have any third-party dependencies, like let's say we want to add Twilio or some other third-party tool into our app, we can just put that into the requirements.txt, the package name, and then when it does upload this to Lambda, to AWS, it'll automatically also upload that dependency as well. So in this case, we're not going to be doing that. Let me go ahead and just start creating this application. So we're going to open up our default application over here. And you can see that there's a lot of things are commented over here, but this is kind of what it gives you automatically. It just automatically creates this, has these imports. So saying get chalice, it creates this app. And then from here, you see this Flask-like view of creating our Lambda function. And it's actually creating like a RESTful API. It's saying if it goes to this, whatever the URL that Amazon gives us, this backslash, return this JSON here, hello world. And before I do anything else, I'm just going to deploy this just to showcase how easy this is. So I'm just going to get out of this and just say chalice deploy. And it's creating a couple of things for us. You can see that it created a deployment package. So it zipped up everything and then it sent that to AWS. Then it created the IAM role, which is kind of just attaching these permissions to our Lambda function, saying what it can do and what it can't. The next thing after that is creating the Lambda function, live demo-dev, and then it deployed it. So you can see that when it says resources deployed, it says Lambda ARN, the Amazon resource name. And then that's the internal name for it. And then you can see the API URL, which is that long URL. And then let's go ahead and just pop this into the browsers to showcase it works. So if you guys ever want to create a quick application like that, you can. You see hello world over here.
Nice.
Yeah, so really easy to use. It's personally why I like Chalice so much. But what we want to do is something different, right? So we don't want to create that little API right now. What we want to do is create a Lambda function that whenever an object is uploaded to our S3 bucket, our Lambda function gets notified and then it takes some action. So let's go ahead back into that same application. And now we're going to keep this over here because we're not really going to change any of that. And we're going to add now a new function over here. The first thing we're going to do is add this view decorator. Now, I'm not sure if everyone here what level of Python they're at, but if you're not familiar with the view decorator, again, you see this in Flask as well. It's basically this app.route, this line over here. Essentially, a view decorator just it transforms a function inside of it. It wraps around a function and adds additional functionality. It's got a fancy name to it, view decorator, but essentially it's just encapsulating a function and adding new functionality. You see this used a lot in frameworks. So in this case, we're going to have app, and then we're going to say on S3 event. So whenever an event happens, which is uploading, I'm forgetting the name. Is the name Kunal vBrownBag? I'm forgetting the name. I'll come back to that. All right, put it in there for now, and I'll change it if it's not. Okay, so this is the bucket it's going to look for events on. The next thing we're going to do is define the function that it's going to call. We're going to call this handler, and we're going to pass it an event. And the first thing we're going to say over here is, let's just print out the object that was uploaded before we start calling recognition. So you can see that it's very familiar to that Flask-like view of it, which I personally like. And now we're just going to say object uploaded for bucket. We're going to give it this variable over here, string, and then we're going to say that another variable key is going to be right after that. And then we're going to go ahead and define those variables. It's going to be event.bucket and event.key. And then that should do it. Let me see if I can hide. Okay, event.key. All right, so now that should work. Most likely, since this is a live demo, I might have messed up somewhere. I feel like I did. I feel like I forgot. Oh yeah, I did. A quote over here. Okay, there we go. And then we'll just take it as is and see what happens. Let's go ahead and save this. Oops. Save it. And then, well, now this is the best part of Chalice. All you have to do is Chalice deploy. Okay, it's going through the process. Looks like I didn't mess up so far. You can see now there's an extra Amazon resource name over here, which is the handler. This is just that, I don't know if you remember the event name, the function I created, it's called handler. So that's over there. And let's go ahead and see if this worked. So, see my previous buckets here, Kunal vBrownBag, right? If I can find it.
Yeah, I don't see it in there. There it is.
Oh, nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some photos. I have some preset photos.
Oh boy.
So the next one. All right, let's go add a puppy. Who doesn't love a puppy?
Oh.
All right, next. upload, choosing all the default settings over here, and we've uploaded our first photo. So ideally, if this worked, it should print out that, hey, we uploaded this photo dog puppy in the bucket Kunal vBrownBag automatically for us. And to test this out, since we use the print functionality, I'm going to go to our logs to test this out. So let me go to our console again, this extra tab I have open. I'm going to go to CloudWatch, where you can check our logs. CloudWatch over here. And then I'm going to look at our logs. And in the logs, we're going to see a lot of stuff in the logs, but I'm just going to search for our function call. If I remember the name right, it is live demo/dev. Okay. So live demo/dev/handler. It's right here. So we can see that there is an event that happened. Let's go ahead and click on that. And we can see, if you guys, I know it might be a little hard to see over there, it's bigger, but
yeah, we can see it.
Okay, object uploaded for bucket, Kunal vBrownBag, dog/puppy. So we created our first Lambda function, and as soon as we uploaded a photo to our bucket, it automatically ran that line in our Lambda function that prints out really simply, this is the bucket Kunal vBrownBag, and here's the puppy. Here's the name of the file that it got uploaded. Pretty quickly over there. And now we're going to go ahead and add recognition to this. So let's go back into our application, and I'm going to open it up again. My favorite editor, Vim, and from here, let's go ahead and just add our recognition code. Whoops.
Two quick questions.
Yes.
The first question is, can I use f strings, or can you use f strings? So I'm guessing in the print statement there, can you use f strings instead of that?
Oh, I'm not sure actually. I've only used the print statement over there for going out to CloudWatch.
Gotcha. Okay. And the second question was, where can I learn more about decorators?
I would. Great question. I would Google view decorators.
Google view decorators. Okay.
Yeah, view decorators, and then here you can see view decorators on different types of frameworks. Let's see what a good source is. What are view decorators?
Function called decorators, view decorators class 2.1.0. All right, I think I found a good one. I'll put it in the show notes.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Cool, thank you.
All right, so let's get back to this. So now we're going to add the Python code for recognition. And the first thing we're going to do, let's just make it easy for us so we know, recognition knows which file to run on. We're just going to make this file name is equal to event.key, which is the actual file name that S3 passes our Lambda function. Next thing we're going to do is define the bucket name that our file's in, which is event.bucket. And then from here, let's go ahead and initialize the client, the recognition client. So we can call that functionality in our application, and then just recognition here. Okay. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and call recognition on our photo. So we're going to create a response variable to store that in, and we're going to say client.detect and labels. So this is the function in Boto 3 that calls that detect labels. When I went through that photo earlier in the demo and I showed that car and the human and all that, this is that function in Boto 3. And then from here, we're going to say run it on an image, and we're going to call it on the S3 object. And I'm typing this out over here, but this is something you can copy and paste from the Boto 3 documentation. So S3 object, that's what this is. And then we're going to pass it this little JSON over here, letting it know the bucket and file name. So we're just going to say bucket and event of bucket is bucket name. And then the name of the file is the file name. Okay, so hopefully I didn't mess that up. I love live coding.
Oh, it's great fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when you debug live, it's the most stressful and fun feeling at the same time. Okay, so print, we're gonna now just say, actually, you know what, I'll do that right now. Let's just put the labels in. So we're gonna say, for all the labels, we're gonna iterate through the response. And this is the response that we get back above. We're gonna iterate through that, and we're just gonna have it printed out like we did before. So we'll say print label, wanna know the name of what we're seeing, and we wanna know the confidence score. So we're gonna have that confidence score as well. We're gonna make it look nice. And then the confidence score, and the confidence score is a number, but we have to make that into a string so we can print that out. Confidence. Okay. Perfect. Okay, I think I got that right. All right, so that should be it. That should be the code. Basically, what we're saying right now is, as soon we have this @app on S3 event. So basically, as soon as an upload event happens on our bucket, run this function called handler, and that print this statement out into our log saying what the object name is in bucket. After that, then we go through the code and we say, just define the file name, bucket name, initialize our recognition client. We have our response object now, and we call the recognition functionality on the image, and we store that in response, and we just iterate through that. Let's go ahead and, oops, let's see if this works. I'm crossing my fingers. Hope you guys are crossing your fingers. All right, chalice deploy. Okay, so again, it's creating the deployment package, updating everything, giving the IAM roles, and let's see if this worked. So let's go ahead to our bucket, put in a new image over there. So we have this one puppy image over here. Let's add in a new one. I have a couple here. So I only get 3 more tries for this. Hopefully I don't need to use all of them. Then it's gonna get awkward trying to find new images. All right, next, we're gonna alter the default settings, so uploading an image onto S3. By the way, for those of you not familiar with S3, S3s are a simple storage service, easy way to upload and download, store and retrieve objects and images or whatever you want to have onto AWS.
Comment from the viewers. Debugging live might not be fantastic for the debugger, but it's great for the learning viewers.
Of course, yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so we uploaded our photo, 4th puppy, and now let's go ahead and check our logs to see if this worked. I'm crossing my fingers. So let's go to logs. Let's go to live demo, our function over here, live demo -dev -handler. Click on the logs. You can see another event has happened. So if I click on that event, it did not work. So our viewers are in luck. We're gonna have to debug this. So let's go through what happened right now.
We can see that.
Yeah, so we can see that object uploaded. Okay, that's great. So we got that print statement in there, Kunal vBrownBag, and we got the name, 4th puppy, which is what we uploaded. Perfect. Now we're seeing that global name Bodo3 is not defined. Okay, so let's see. I think I installed Bodo3. Let me just double check. Okay, I did install Bodo3. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I know what I didn't do. Import Bodo3.
Yay!
Okay, whoops. Yep. Okay, let's see if this works now. Chalice deploy.
And for those watching, please review our episode on importing modules. Da-da-dum.
I set you up for that.
Thanks.
All right, let's go ahead and try this again. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Second, all right, we're just gonna say all the defaults over here, upload, photo uploaded. Let's try again. Logs, live demo /dev/handler. Okay. All right, it's still going. Refresh. Okay. Different error occurred now, so let's see what that is. Unable to get object metadata, check object key. Oh, I know what this one is. We can fix that. So essentially what happened here was, again, you can see that it printed out the right thing, but over here, it doesn't have our Lambda function doesn't have the right IAM permissions to access our bucket. So let's go ahead and give our function permissions to access the bucket. So for those of you, I think I went over IAM before, but it just basically adds permissions to give access to different aspects of AWS. So let's go to Lambda and find our function here, -dev-handler, and let's just give it the right permissions so it can do what it needs to do. Where is this? Okay, so I see my existing role over here. Let's say view the IAM role in the IAM console. And we're going to give it the right permission. And we're going to attach a policy that lets it access S3, which is our simple storage service. S3, and we're going to say, I think it only needs read only. I don't think it needs write. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach that policy to it.
Man, we're getting a twofer. We're getting Python and AWS training. This is amazing.
You guys are lucky. All right. All right, let's go ahead and let me go back to my console. All right, let's go to CloudWatch. And let's go ahead and upload another image. I think this is the last one. All right, let's go ahead and upload this one over here, third pup. Next, upload. Okay, cross your fingers, guys.
We're out of puppies.
I'm going to go back to logs. We're going to go to live demo /dev/handler. You can see the third event popped up in the stream. Let's go ahead and click on that. I think times it 909. It looks like key error label. Oh, I might have misspelled something in my application. Going back in there. Okay. I swear I practiced this before I did it, guys.
like we said, this is great learning for the viewers as opposed to the debugger.
Okay, so I think in the debug over here it said that there's a key error with label. Let me just see if I misspelled anything with label. So I have detect labels, and I say for label and response. Oh, it should be labels. I think that's it. We're gonna have to delete a puppy.
Oh no.
Or we'll just let's go ahead and chalice deploy this. Okay, let's go ahead and try this again. Let me go back to the S3 bucket.
This is cool.
Let me, you know what? I'm just gonna go take one of the Chris faces and see if that does anything.
It's gonna break it.
This was meant for future use, but we'll try it right now. All right, upload.
Clearly a puppy.
Okay. I'm curious to see what it says. Logs, let's go to live demo. All right, it's going still. Come on, come on. All right. Oh, it worked.
Oh.
All right, so you can see that, let's go through the stream over here. You can see that it printed out the statement object Kunal vBrownBag for the bucket name. The file name is chris1.jpg. And then this is now recognition automatically running. It saw that photo come in, sent it to our Lambda function, and it's now organized. It's now telling us what it sees. So person, it's 99.72% confident that there's a person in this. It's a face of a person. It's a human.
There's still wiggle room. Hey, 93% beard. I am 100% bearded. I take offense to that. That is outrageous.
And it's capped and it says sunglasses outdoor. I don't think you're outdoor in that actually. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I was.
You were? Okay. So nature, and it's kind of going into other classifications that if you might want to search for, let's say, portrait, this will show up as well. So these are all the tags that it found in that photo. This is let me go back to the application. And so a really popular use case now would be to take this code and at the end of this, just move that file into its own folder, saying a person or whatever you want to do, or add those meta tags to the image. So you'll be able to organize your S3 bucket in the future automatically without having to do anything. So organization, again, organization and moderation are probably the two biggest use cases for computer vision. And that was an interesting live coding session. So thanks, awesome. Guys. Okay, so that's how you take advantage of AWS Chalice to create a serverless Lambda function, as well as do on events with S3 and then recognition all three over there.
Very
cool.
Okay,
so now the next two little demos I have for you guys are not so much live coding together. It's going to be walking through two demos. So already loaded up. I'm going to get out of, I have tabs open over here. Okay, so let me go into my Faces tab. Let me make this bigger. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's a photo of a puppy on my right-hand side of my terminal here. I guess it got stuck on my screen somehow.
Yeah, we can see that.
That's interesting, right? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do the other functionality let me just open up Rekognition again. Let me go to Services, Rekognition, and I just want to showcase the face comparison tool. So we're going to take advantage of this face comparison tool over here, and we're going to call this on Chris's face, two images of Chris's face. So let's just go compare this.
Let's see if I can break it.
Okay, so here's Chris 1, Chris 2.
Oh boy.
Chris 1, Chris 2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and call Rekognition to compare those faces. So I have both these images that we're going to use. Let me go ahead and just open up this program. Okay, so it's Python. Over here, this is already pre-coded. First, you can see we're importing our Boto3 file, which I forgot in my last one. And now it's just going to go ahead and call everything here. So it's going to take a look at two files, the Chris1 and target file Chris2, compare those, load up Rekognition. It's going to, in this case over here where it's saying open, it's actually converting those images into bytes, because Rekognition likes seeing the images either as something uploaded into an S3 bucket or in bytes. That's the way it likes the parameters for sending images. Then it's going to go ahead and call the Boto3 function for comparing faces. We're going to say that it needs to be at least 70% similar. It makes sense. And over here, we're going to iterate through the face matches. So if there's multiple faces in two photos, it'll kind of go through all the faces and start matching all of them together. So let's see if this works. This should be pretty easy. It's just two images. I'm curious to see what the percentage is.
What could go wrong?
So let's go. What can go wrong? By the way, this example is straight from the documentation of Rekognition. So if you want to check that out, you can just go to docs.aws, search for Rekognition, and if you look at comparing faces, this will be exactly that example in Python.
Cool.
And so let me give you a little background on what's going on here. It's giving two coordinates over here, the face at 0.3 and the other one's 0.13. Basically, this is just one face in each, but if there were multiple faces in both photos, it would give you that's a way of showcasing the coordinates of that image, of that face. And also you can draw bounding boxes around it if you want to, or get fancy with it as well. But in this case, basically it's saying, taking a look at both photos, it's saying it matches with 72.67% confidence, which is pretty high. 70%, I would say, is a threshold for two faces being similar. And those were kind of pretty different looking faces.
Yeah, and I was wearing a hat and sunglasses in one and looking like a complete derp in the other one. So there's all kinds of, yeah, I'm surprised it's that accurate.
So I mean, like, again, take advantage of this. What I did was kind of match it to my wife, and then we turn on and off the lights based on it. Kind of really simple. We already had the lights hooked up with Alexa anyway, so another easy way to play around with this and maybe build something fun. Also, take advantage of Chalice as well. I would love to hear if you guys do use Chalice after this, and love to see what you guys code. All right, so this is faces, and then I have one more before we close it off till questions, and I'm going to
so many questions.
All right.
Most of them are inappropriate.
All right, let's go to where's this directory where I have stuff in? Okay, yes, this is the one I want to showcase. So again, I am a huge fan of computer vision, machine learning, and when I first saw recognition, I only wanted to build one thing at all. And this is going to show you a live video feed from my computer here, so let's hope this works. I am at the Amazon office in New York, so it might be a little dark. I think it should be fine. Let me go ahead and run this right now. Okay. All right, so this is going to start accessing my video feed. Let me know if this works. I hope this works. All right, can you guys see me?
Yep, we can see you.
Okay.
You do not have a mustache or a beard. You appear
nope. There we go. Okay, so it's actually those coordinates that I showed you before. It's taking those coordinates. It's drawing the bounding box on my face. It's giving some information on what recognition provides, and I made that kind of printed on my face right now through Python. What I'm doing right now is taking advantage of a tool called OpenCV. It's this really interesting image recognition, image processing tool. Essentially what's happening right now is I'm taking multiple screenshots of the screen of this particular video feed and sending that to recognition. And I'm getting back essentially what we saw before for the face comparison, except now it's giving back just for my face, the coordinates, and it's giving me like different aspects of, apparently I look confused talking to you guys right now. I'm not, I promise.
I was just going to say something.
There you go, I'm happy. So yeah, it's taking advantage of recognition and taking advantage of the face statistics that it's showing right now, using OpenCV as well. I'll walk through the code. The code is a little bit more complex. I think if you guys would like, I can go ahead and put this up in a gist, and then you can just play with it right now, run it, and then start mucking around, playing around with it, having fun with it, maybe modifying some recognition stuff and taking advantage of this bounding box thing. Do you think that makes sense? Should I do that?
That'd be great, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do that. You can see it gives me that age. Oh, it still goes confused whenever I talk. All right, you can still, the age group over there, smile. All right, perfect. So let me close this. And then let's quickly go over this. Again, so this is taking advantage of OpenCV. So there are a lot of additional libraries that it requires and dependencies. We're saying in the camera parameters, what's the width and height of the screen and the video feed we want to showcase. And then here's some of the recognition parameters that I want to showcase: gender, age, smile, mustache, beard, emotion. And then you can see that we're sending a frame, which is taking that screenshot and then just sending it to recognition. And then from there, we're getting back the data on the XY coordinates so we can draw our bounding boxes and just kind of printing this on the screen. So I'll just put this up on a gist for you guys to play around with. If you want, just run it and then you can start mucking around, having fun with it. If there are any questions, again, feel free to email me or find me on Twitter. Happy to answer any questions on this. I love this. This is the kind of stuff that makes me really happy, and it feels like the future for me. So I love doing this. And yeah, guys, those were the 3 examples. We got a little live coding session, a little serverless, a little face detection, and live feed going on there.
Very cool. That is super awesome. Okay, I'm gonna sort through the list of questions about how many puppies do you have to kill to get a. Can we do one? Kyle Reddy's beard? No, no. 15-year-old Chris? No. Confused seems about right for vBrownBag. Thanks, Graham. How many faces can it recognize in a video frame at one time?
That is a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I've tested this out, by the way. I've seen quite a bit of faces, but you know what? I kind of want to do that right now because I'm curious too. So I'm just going to search for an image on Google. Images, saying crowd, but I feel like it's a lot. Okay, let's do this one over here.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm curious to see how this works. So let's go ahead and open image in new tab, and let's try to get this. Can we get the URL for this? Does this work if I take that out? Okay, perfect. So let's put this into the demo for recognition. Do I have it open here? Okay, so I'll make this smaller, and then I'll go into object and scene detection and see how many faces it can count. The URL is either, does that not work?
Or does not support cross-domain requests.
Oh yeah, they might have blocked that. Let me see if I can save this. I am curious, save, then let's upload it. Where's Chris? Faces Chris, festival. All right. So this one, I don't know if it's doing faces actually. I don't think it's doing, maybe it's facial analysis that does face. Yeah. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, I feel like it's counting a lot. It's definitely taking time to analyze now.
So many faces.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Man,
oh, yeah. It did a lot. Yeah, I don't know if you can see too, but like you can show you like the eyes. It tries to pick up the eyes and
yeah, the edges of the mouth, the eyes, the nose frame. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, it does pretty well. I don't know what the exact number is. I don't think I can figure out from this, but yeah, so quite a lot is the answer.
So many Skynet comments right now. Okay. I bet you get that joke a lot when you demo this.
I haven't so far, so it's the first.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'll get you a Skynet t-shirt then.
Oh, that'd be great.
Cool. All right, let me double check if there's any legitimate questions in here. How do you tie in facial recognition with the lights? I'm assuming this goes back to your house comment that you have the lights turn on when you walk in.
Exactly. So we have our home automation set up. We have a switch with lights where it can work with Alexa too, where you can say Alexa turn on or off the lights. Mm-hmm. We also call that whenever we have a face match. So you can see that whenever a person comes in and it's my wife, then from there it's going to call a Lambda function, which then if it is my wife, it'll go ahead and turn on the lights.
So what are you using for the camera? Is it a deep lens? Is it you said Alexa, but that doesn't have a camera on it.
Oh yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. That's cool. That's awesome. All right. I think that's the end of the legitimate questions. Everything else is chaff that we shall discard. Cool, Kunal. This was fantastic. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Of course.
Okay. Well, with that, okay. So people saying thank you, great, amazing stuff. Yeah. Again, thanks very much for taking time out of your busy AWS day to show this off for us.
Of course. Appreciate being on here.
Thanks a bunch. Have a great night.
All right. You too, guys. Take care.